This isn't gonna be a typical graduation speech. I'm not gonna talk about all the great experiences and times we had, of which there were many. Not gonna talk about how this isn't the end, it's only the beginning, because honestly, that carries more weight when you're 22 than when you're 40. And I'm definitely not gonna quote that Friends Forever graduation song by Vitamin C. You know the one. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do any of that, because this wasn't a typical grad school experience. It was never intended to be. First off, we got here 15 months into COVID. And after not speaking to another human for over a year, 120 of us were thrown into the Init pen for a week like the cast of The Bachelor. Except if everyone had crippling imposter syndrome and pandemic-induced social anxiety. Lo and behold, after a week of classes, a total of about 20 hours of sleep, and a shocking amount of time spent at Louie Louie, we were all trauma bonded for life, like we had just spent a decade in very low security prison. I joke, but these enduring relationships, they're an important feature, not a bug, of this program. Just think back when we first met each other on the plaza at Huntsman in May of 2021. There we were, 3 people max to a table, face masks on, green pass in hand, talking to each other for the first time. And I remember hearing about everyone's amazing jobs. CFO, CMO, literal rocket scientist. And I couldn't even imagine being able to keep up with, let alone relate to these geniuses. But a funny thing happened. I was crying too the first week. First, I sat in class and I questioned that belief. Then I hung out with these people and I threw that notion right in the trash. See, one of the most underrated aspects of this program is meeting the most brilliant, determined, accomplished people you've ever met in your entire life, and then realizing, they're just people. In going through that process, it forces us to believe in ourselves. Remember that imposter syndrome I joked about earlier? We pretty much all had it. I definitely had it. But now, we're leaving Wharton knowing what we didn't know coming in. We belonged here. We always did. In other words, we're like Elle Woods coming to Harvard. Except we didn't go to a safety school. You can applaud that. These experiences though, kidding aside, these experiences don't happen without our classmates there to guide, push, and support us. A perfect example of that was in one of the first class sessions in entrepreneurship with Professor Malik. He made everyone in the class, something like 70 of us, get in line, stand up in front of the class, and pitch an idea for a startup. From those pitches, we'd then have to get together, form groups, and decide whose ideas we wanted to develop for the rest of the course and, for some people, beyond. So this was big. It could have been a hostile environment with everyone viciously competing to have their idea chosen, fighting to be Wharton's next big thing. But that's not what happened. Not even close. Instead, everyone was supportive, smiling, and clapping for each person, even though Malik explicitly told us not to do that. And as a result, everybody brought their A game. I mean, everyone. There were people I had never even heard open their mouths before, and suddenly they were confidently pitching like they had just invented medical tests that could be run on a single drop of blood. The charisma in the room was wild. I can't describe it. Dozens of us getting up and just killing it one after another with ideas that could take over the world. More than any other moment here, it made me realize, oh right, I'm at Wharton right now. But here's the critical part. It never would have happened if we all selfishly had our fangs out. Instead, we brought out the best in each of us. Before I get too self-congratulatory, I also want to remind you that the support we received was not just from each other. First, our spouses, love you, Lauren, partners, kids, and family deserve all the credit in the world. The sacrifices they made while we were out here enjoying ourselves and more demand recognition. So for all they have done, and for all you have done and endured to get us to this point, let's give you all a round of applause. We also need to thank Wharton, from the countless professors to Dean James, Peggy, and the others in the administration, Amy, Ed, Shannon, and the rest of the staff, and finally, our amazing class manager, Jen Craig. For those who don't know Jen, she is our Sherpa throughout this experience. And she goes above and beyond, to be sure. For example, one time I forgot to pick up a book for a leadership class called P3. I informed Jen, who responded, and I quote, "Oh, no problem. I drive by your house every single day. I'll just come and drop it off." I'm sorry, you do what every day? So after a few quick calls to SimpliSafe, I immediately came to realize just how deeply Jen cares for her students. So let's give it up for Jen. Finally, we need to thank our learning teams. For the uninitiated, learning teams are assigned at the beginning of school, and we have to do every single group assignment with them for the rest of the year. Luckily, my team was perfectly constructed, like the '96 Chicago Bulls or the Backstreet Boys. So within a week of WEMBA, we had our own inside jokes. Within 3 months, we were openly telling each other, "I love you." And within 15 months, we all started actual businesses with each other. All three of those steps are a testament to this experience. So, we've talked about us, we've talked about our family, and we've talked about those at Wharton. Putting this all together, the lesson is that people make the experience. When you look back, don't you ever forget that. Yes, you'll remember how to do a DCF. And yes, you'll remember all 400 variables in the aggregate demand equation. And yes, you'll remember how many stars you had on Menti-O. Don't even ask, it's not worth it. But what you'll care about the most are the people sitting next to you right now. The thing is, that's true here, but that's also true outside of Locust Walk. Let's face it, life, it's not a spreadsheet and it's not a financial statement. This is sometimes taboo here, and a lightning bolt might strike me, but at the end of our lives, we're not gonna judge ourselves by how much money we have. If you do, well, hate to break it to you, your kids are gonna end up like Kendall, Shiv, and Roman Roy. Have fun with that. So remember, at the end of the day, we're gonna judge our lives by the people we loved, the great times we had with them, and the others that we enabled to do the same. That's what we did here, and that's your mission as a Wharton alum. Don't be shy about accomplishing that. Go for it. Because as Professor Smetters taught us, sometimes you just gotta grab life by the hand sanitizer. Don't ask about that either. That is what this experience is about, and so that is what this graduation speech is about. It's about people, and it's about us. Because, in the words, the immortal words of singer-songwriter Vitamin C, as we go on, we remember all the times we had together. And as our lives change, come whatever, we will still be friends forever. Congrats, WEMBA 47, class of 2023. We did it!